I'm Mike Staub, and I'm here with George Portugal, and today we're going to be talking about an awesome piece of equipment that we just picked up for LIRetro. Thank you so much for watching. And this is the Super System from Nintendo. Now, this is the last arcade unit Nintendo would produce in this form, correct? It's kind of based off the Super Nintendo hardware.
Yeah, that's right. So Nintendo has certainly been involved in arcade systems since then, but this is the last one that they made completely by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And so basically what it is an arcade version of the Super Nintendo. And so this was released right around the same time that the console was released. And as you can see, it's an arcade, and I'm wiring it up through a Super Gun, which is something that allows you to put it onto a CRT or a modern display. And you can see here it is producing Super Mario World. So I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about what makes this similar and different from a normal Super Nintendo. So the way that this works is that you've got a main board, and there's actually a lot of overlap between this thing and a Super Nintendo. So I don't know if you can see over here, there's a bunch of chips right here, and these are literally the same as what's inside of a Super Nintendo. But just in a bigger format. Bigger format.
As you can see from this gigantic controller, that actually feels great as well. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, so here is the original Super Nintendo chips, and these are literally the same as what you'd find inside of a stock Super Nintendo. So you've got your CPU. Oh, yeah, let's put that down. So yeah, you've got your CPU, you've got your PPUs. Those are the graphics chips. There's two of them. This is your sound module. This was actually invented by the same guy who made the PlayStation later on, actually, when he was partnering up with Nintendo. But then, yeah, there's unique stuff as well. So this is the Super System arcade ROM, and then this is the Zilog Z80, and this controls that menu and all of this text on the screen. And so here are the games. And so unlike a PlayChoices have like 10 slots, so you can put up to 10 different games in there. But the Super System arcade only allows you to have 3 games in it. And so this is Super Mario World, and then this one back here is F-Zero. But you can see they have a similar kind of size. They also have a battery on there for, I think, backing up certain... I don't know if it backs up progress. I'm actually not entirely sure how that works. And then these are the character ROMs and the program ROMs, and they're very similar to, but not fully identical to, like a standard Super Nintendo cart. And then this is the security chip right here. So if this fails, then it won't authenticate and it won't see this game at all. And it also does stereo sound just like a standard Super Nintendo. So this is all the audio amplifier circuits and all that. And then in order to play this on a normal TV, we're using the Super Gun, which just converts the RGB and the audio into something that a TV with RGB can understand. So yeah, let's take a look at this. So here's our Super Nintendo controller, and like Mike and I were talking about earlier, it feels fantastic, and it looks ridiculous. It's huge, but it somehow works. It really feels good. So this is going to be mounted like straight onto the cabinet, and so you'd have 2 of these side by side, and they connect via this harness. And the real thing would have also been like this with some kind of a harness. And so some of the buttons are mapped out over here on the JAMA connector, and then some of the extra buttons are over here on these auxiliary connectors over here. Yeah, so it has the real Super Nintendo CPU, PPU. This is the sound module, and you could literally fix one of these if you just took a Super Nintendo, cannibalized it, and you could take those parts, pop them right in here, and they're literally exactly the same.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's other things about it that's different. So it has a very special ROM over here. That's what controls the main menu, and it has this other processor here. It's called the Zilog Z80, and that kind of controls how the menu works, how the timing works, all this extra text here where it's telling you are now viewing F-Zero, and this is licensed by Nintendo. Very serious.
Don't get in trouble.
No. And so this is kind of similar to some stuff that Nintendo has done in the past. So Nintendo made an arcade hardware called the Nintendo PlayChoice back around 1985, and that was an arcade version of the Nintendo Entertainment System. And both of these products did the same thing for them. So they were just trying to basically introduce this new home console hardware to the market. And the arcades were huge and popular, and kids were going in there all the time. So this was a way for kids to see the Nintendo and then tell their parents to buy one.
So now, like the PlayChoice, obviously, you're limited to what games that would operate with the Super System. So it was a limited variety, a limited selection of games that would be available. Were these games all pretty much, these were games that they were using at the Genesis as a Super Nintendo to try to attract people in to purchase a Super Nintendo? This is more like it was like a marketing type situation.
Yeah, so it's definitely like that. So so with the Nintendo Play Choice, that lasted for a lot longer, and so as a result, there's like maybe like 40 or so games, Nintendo games, NES games for that. But whereas this wasn't nearly as popular, and so but they had the same idea in mind. So they wanted to just get like a bunch of launch titles and kind of show off like this is what the hardware can do. Like Mario was already like the center of the universe in video games at that time. So like here you go, kids, this is what the new Mario looks like, and it looks absolutely incredible. And of course, it was on an arcade monitor, which would have been an RGB, just like this, so it would look absolutely outstanding. Then they'd have games like F-Zero, which had the mode 7 with rotation and bitmap graphics, and so the whole idea was like, look at how much more amazing this is compared to your old NES.
It's kind of like a technical showcase of the system. So if you're a kid in 1990, 1991 like we were, and you go to the arcade and you see this thing, you're gonna make your parents buy this for you for the holidays or for a birthday or whatever. I know right now, looking at this, if I saw this looking this good in an arcade in 1991, I would absolutely beg to have one at home because look at this thing. This thing is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a really nice piece too of Nintendo history that we don't really hear all that much about. We don't hear a lot about the Super System, and it's remarkable in what it actually does. It's a Super Nintendo arcade, which is super cool.
It is.
And I think it's one of those things that's just like, it just exudes early 90s greatness.
It totally does.
And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this bad boy.
That's right.
It's one of the controllers that I think is actually larger than the original Xbox controller. And this thing is, you look at it and you go, I don't know how this thing will work, but strangely enough, when you put it in your hands, it actually feels awesome.
Yeah.
It's very clicky, but in like a great way. It's really, really nice. It feels great. Yeah, just like listen to that.
Hear that?
Oh,
Sounds so good. Feels good.
Feels good. It feels great. Like playing these games with this controller, at first you might be like, this is strange, especially since we're so used to the bone style SNES controller.
Exactly.
But this thing's a dream actually to play with, and I'm super, super happy that we were able to get one of these for LIRetro because this is going to be such a nice piece to look at.
Yeah, it really is. And so I'll tell you guys a little bit about what the plans are for this. And so we're not going to just leave it like this as it is, because right now it's frankly quite janky. Because what I've done here is I've basically just taken this, I built a harness for it, and then I just wired it straight into the console. And so this is not how it's going to be in its final state. What we're going to do is we have an empty arcade cabinet, so we're going to take this. I've already purchased the art, so I have the original art, which, by the way, we'll show you on camera as well, because that's just, again, so 90s. It's perfect. So we're gonna take this empty arcade cabinet and we're going to rebuild it with the Super System arcade. So we're gonna have that. I guess
cannot wait. Your play time, was it limited?
Oh yes, absolutely, yeah, because. Yeah, so the way that this worked too is it was on a timer. So you'd pop in your quarters, and your quarters would buy you time. And so as many quarters you put in, you'd be able to play these games. But then once time ran out, that was it. You'd have to move over, and the next kid would take over.
Shame. I would hate to lose my progress on Super Mario World just because I didn't have enough quarters. But I didn't have that many quarters in the 90s, so that would happen.
Yeah.
But this is a beautiful piece. This is going to be a really nice part. What section of the LIRetro Expo?
It's kind of debatable because, like, on the one hand, it will be a full-sized arcade cabinet, but it's historically unique and relevant, so it may end up in the museum. I could see it kind of, and of course, as part of the collection, we also have a countertop Play Choice arcade.
Yes, which is awesome.
Putting them together, regardless of whether it's in the museum or in the arcade section, is like what we gotta do. They need to be together.
Yeah, it's like the evolution. Listen, I'm going to be super greedy and jealous and just say put everything in the museum because of where I've been stationed over the years.
That's where you go.
But because I also want to I want to be able to live in this thing's aura. But this is great. I can't wait to see this all cabineted up. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So stay tuned, guys. We will have more updates on this in the near future.
Very cool.